Okay, let's wrap this thing up. This is where the story gets really, really exciting. All right. So, as I had shared with you all, the wedding party was outside taking photographs, and we're now getting to the point in which we need to do the introductions. Guests are already inside of the ballroom. They have enjoyed the cocktail hour inside the ballroom as well as the extended terrace outside of the ballroom. They have their drinks, they have hors d'oeuvres, they are at their tables, but some are walking around, and it was coming to the point now that we're about to do the introductions. And so I wanted to ask the DJ to make an announcement to go ahead and have ask all of the guests to go ahead and sit down. In the process of me having this conversation, these last few minute instructions with the DJ, my assistant comes in and she says, Desiree, we got to talk. We got a problem. I'm like, okay, what is the problem? And I'm thinking, this day is going pretty well. I'm not expecting any problems. And I come out, the bride is pissed off. I'm like, oh my God, hey, what is wrong? What happened? Her entire demeanor was different from how it was earlier in the day, from her recessing out of the ceremony space to taking photographs. She was happy. Now I am looking at a woman whose facial coloring has changed. Her whole demeanor is different. She is pissed off. I said, what is going on? What's the problem? Those centerpieces. Yes? What about the centerpieces? And she says, where are the candelabras? I'm like, the candelabras are on the table. Those are the centerpieces. The photograph, remember I sent you, they're on the table. She says, no, not the candelabras. Where are the glass cylinders? I'm like, the glass cylinders were not in the box. All right? They weren't anywhere in the boxes. I can show you the boxes. I can show you the empty boxes. I can show you the empty bubble wrap, the styrofoam, all the things. There were no cylinder vases in the box. She says, oh, yes, it was. I says, no, it was not. And I'm also about to say to her girlfriend, I'm going to need you to calm down. First of all, I sent you a photograph of these centerpieces on the tables. I have the text message that you said they looked perfect. You were happy, blah, blah, blah. So why are you coming at me sideways now? There were no cylinders in the box. I sent you the photograph. You said all was well. Now listen, as detailed as she was, I will own up to the fact that I did not ask her about these cylinders. Remember, I kept saying that something looked strange about them? I knew in my mind that something was missing, but I could not pinpoint it at that moment. And it's like, oh, shoot, right. The cylinders are not on covering the candles. Again, these are flameless, so it's not an issue, but they're not covering the candles, so they weren't exactly the way she wanted them. But I sent her a photograph because, as I had shared with you all, I thought something was off, and I just wanted to confirm with her, because of how detailed she was, that these centerpieces were how she wanted them. Plus, her son dropped off everything and left it there. There was no instruction. There was no person to ask any questions. He left the items there. Okay. I'm like, all right. I show her the text message. I says, this is what I sent you at blah, blah, blah time. Look, you said everything was good. Desiree, you knew those cylinders were supposed to be on those candelabras. I said, well, okay, listen. I knew that because that's what you told me via email and when we had our conversation. But when they got here, the cylinders were not in the box. I sent you a photograph and you said that you were comfortable. You liked them. They were perfect. Whatever. You said you were happy with these centerpieces. She's like, well, I'm not. I need you to take them off the tables. I said, and do what with them? Because at this point now, I'm like, okay, I got to kind of diffuse the situation. We've got guests seated and waiting to watch you all be introduced in so we can go ahead and get the reception started, dinner, blah, blah, blah. I am not going to these tables and grabbing these centerpieces. She says, Desiree, I'm not happy. These centerpieces do not look how they're supposed to. I paid all this money and blah, 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 blah. I says, okay, whoa, let's figure out what we need to do. I says, where are the cylinders? She found someone to go find her son. Because I told her, and I stand on that, those cylinders were not in that box. There was no box of cylinders. There was nothing that accompanied these candelabras. She gets the son. Son comes over. He's now in the conversation. I says, when you dropped off these boxes, did you drop off everything? He says, yeah. I says, okay. I says, these are the boxes that you dropped off. He counted them. He's like, yeah, they had X number of centerpieces in them. This is what I dropped off. She looks at him and she says, where is such and such bag? I'm like, I didn't get a bag. He looking like a deer in the headlights, like, oh, I was supposed to bring that bag? Now, boy, I'm getting cussed out by your mama because you left a bag of cylinders inside of the hotel room. Now I'm getting told off. She told him in that moment to take his and head back to that hotel and get those cylinders. Now I, again, am trying to diffuse the situation. I says, listen, there's nothing we can do. If he goes back to this hotel, which is about 10 minutes away, so that's a good thing, not too far, but it's about 10 minutes away. He has to go get them. He's got to go inside of, the hotel room, get them, load them in the car, drive them back here. I says, once they're back here, what do you want us to do? She said, I want you to put them on the tables. I said, there are tables of 8 to 9 to 10 people seated, and the candelabra is in the middle of the table. By the time this young man arrives back here and we unpackage these cylinders, dinner will have already begun. And you want us to do what? She said, and I tell you with not a smile on her face, I want those cylinders on those centerpieces. I had to woosah, y'all. I had to take a moment within myself, because I was like, that is absolutely ridiculous. For one, I feel like I am owed an apology because you just cussed me out in front of I don't know how many people in this venue, in this foyer area, about the centerpieces being wrong, and it was my fault when we discovered that your little boy left the bag of cylinders at the hotel. Okay. Can I take ownership for not asking you about the cylinders? Yes, I can definitely take ownership for that. But I can't ask you about something that was not here. Okay. You said, okay, to the photograph. We went on about our day. Even when you came to the venue and no one was in the ballroom, and I said, do you want to come down and see? You said, nah, you were happy and you didn't want to see it. Okay, boo. So we both gonna take some ownership here, but I would never address you the way you addressed me. I thought throughout our process, our time together, that we had a relationship that was pleasant, that was vendor-client, that was respectful. And you literally just acted a plumb fool on me about some cylinders that weren't on the candelabras. And I get it. You paid money for these. But now we have to do the introductions, the cake cutting, and blah, blah, blah. You have sent your little boy all the way back to the hotel to get some cylinders. Your guests are going to be eating, and you want us to interrupt them, to remove the centerpieces off the table and put the put the cylinders over the candles and then put them back on the table. All of this while dinner is going on. And she said yes. Not a blink in her eye, not a twitch in her lip. She said yeah. I said, okay, all right. I ain't even, because at this point I'm real mad. I'm real mad. I went to my assistant. I said, hey, we're going to have to go on these tables and grab all these centerpieces. We got to say, excuse us, put our hands over the people and maneuver and get these centerpieces off the table. She's looking at me like, why and how in the hell are we supposed to do that? I said, we're going to figure it out, but I need to get them centerpieces off the table. So we came up with a plan. We went on over to the tables and started taking the centerpieces off. Guests are eating. They don't know what the hell's going on, but we take the centerpieces off the table. We take them into a nearby ballroom, an adjoining ballroom, and we place them on the floor. She's like, so now what are we supposed to do? I said, are we supposed to wait for the son, the 21-year-old son, to come back with some cylinders, and then we supposed to put the cylinders on the candelabras and then put them on the table? That's what we're supposed to do. She's like, and not one of them's going to break. We're not going to hit a gas block. I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but this is what she wants us to do because she's real adamant. She's real pissed off about it. I mean, stank attitude too. I said, okay. Son comes back. I mean, I don't know where he went. Maybe he stopped off at Culver's and got him a little burger, Taco Bell, I don't know, some Chipotle, whatever the heck. This man took almost an hour to come back. He comes back, he hands me the bag. He looks at me very sadly because he's missed out on things. He's, his mom is mad and, he's hungry. I'm sure. I don't know what was going on with the boy. I don't even care. I said, give me the bag. He hands me the bag. We go ahead and we unpackage. And lo and behold, my God, y'all, the cylinders, because they're glass, they were packaged so tightly. We had to cut through paper and plastic and tape just to release these cylinders, to put them onto the candelabras. And now we've got them all on there. And when I tell y'all, listen, this project took about 30 minutes. Like I said, the packaging was ridiculous. It was for protective purposes, but it was ridiculous in this moment. We unpackage it. We've got the candelabras there. I said, so we need to devise a plan on how we're going to maneuver through this room and put these candelabras back on the table. We come into the room with the candelabras on carts, and we are maneuvering them through the guest tables along with the servers, going past people, going past chairs, reaching over people, putting these candelabras on the table. We have to do it in sync because they have the glass on them at this point, and we have to make sure that we don't drop one of them. And they're a bit heavier now that we have the glass cylinders on here. So it's two of us that now have to go through people and set these things on the table. Can y'all just see how ridiculous this looks in this moment and how embarrassed I am? I'm almost happy in that moment that I did not wear a shirt that says Dejanay Events, because I feel like somebody would have had something to say, and in the world of social media, they would have talked about me all online. Because I would have talked about me if I saw somebody doing that at a wedding. But my goal is to always make the couple happy, and she required that this be done. We had to do it. So we get all of the candelabras on the table. I go up to the bride, who is, looking dead at me as we are doing this. I says, are you good? Is everything? She was like, thank you. Oh, okay. All right, boo, I see how you're going to do. Move on with the reception. They dance. They have their beverages. Lights are dimmed like she wanted them. Guests are having a good time. Not a single person said anything. Actually, when people started to leave, they talked about how beautiful everything was and how smoothly everything ran. So I guess us going in between guests with these tall candelabra centerpieces really didn't bother them as much as they bothered me and the bride. But, all is well. At the conclusion, I said to the son, you have to stay around because we have to get these candelabras off of the tables and we need to put them back in the box. And yeah, we got to wrap all that glass back up. He was like, oh, he was about to go out with his people. So I went on over to the bride. I said, who's taking these home? Somebody's got to take them home. They're not going with me. Well, you can't take them. No, that was never a part of the discussion. Boo. When I walk up out of here at midnight, the way you treated me today, I'll never have to talk to you again. And I'm all good with that. But I need somebody to take these candelabras home with them because the venue says we cannot keep them here because they will say this. About 2 weeks later, surprisingly, I did get an email from her. The surprise is it was an apology. She apologized because it was not our fault that we didn't have everything we were supposed to have regarding the centerpieces. And also apologized for the tone in which she spoke to me and that she was sorry. Her and her dad had some tension earlier that day regarding the wedding. She didn't dive into it. I don't know what all of that was about. Could be the reason why he wasn't there where he was supposed to be and why she walked down the aisle with her son. Share that one with you because, yeah, guest table interruptions, we had about 12 of them times 2, removing them and putting them back during that reception. But I'm gonna leave that right there. Anyways, thank you for tuning in to the wedding tea, and I'll catch you next time with some more tea. Bye bye.